Miss Hensey, I think that's Commissioner Taylor that we're having trouble hearing.
Yes, it is. His audio is going in and out, and the easiest thing maybe to do is just to call in from a landline instead of using the app. Mr. Chairman, you're live on YouTube, so you're ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Taylor, can you say a few words there to make sure we can hear?
Hello.
Okay, that was clear. Okay, it's 6:30. We'll call this budget and finance meeting to order. And you should have received a copy via email of the minutes. And I would entertain a motion to approve and dispense with the reading.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion we approve the minutes as written and suspend the reading of the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Commissioner England.
Second from Commissioner England. Are there any additions or corrections?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? If none, then all in favor say aye.
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 On the rest of the motions, Mr. Chairman, we'll have to do a roll call, I think.
Yes, sir, we will. And Commissioner Savage, if you don't mind, I'll just ask you to read the roll, and that will make it a little simpler about getting those votes in, if you don't care.
I've got my list ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 1 on the agenda tonight is to consider the Highway Department's budget. And I think Commissioner Glenn is listening, but he is not logged on. We have, and there's about a $92,000 increase, a little over $92,500 increase in his budget this year. Commissioner Glenn had, they've got a projected shortfall of about $500,000 in gas tax. And a lot of these added expenditures have gone to projects. One of those being the Turner's Bend project. We had some expenses there that were unforeseen. Some were clerical. And if you look at the first page of the budget, you'll see that he has, if I can get back to that budget, you'll have to excuse me. I'm looking at this on my cell phone. And I think that's under accountants and bookkeepers. There's a substantial increase in accountants and bookkeepers. Is there any more discussion on this? Anybody like to bring up anything concerning this budget?
Well, I was looking at Cumberland County. They're going to have a shortfall of somewhere around $700,000 on the fuel tax. Pretty well statewide.
There's due to these projects we went through NRCS on some of this federal money for these road repairs, and I know that Superintendent Glenn had said that there was quite a bit of paperwork, more than he was used to with the state and the federal grants typically, and he was forced to hire some more clerical or spend some more hours anyway in that, doing a lot more reporting than was typical. And that was, I know there was about $30,000 in that, which caused an increase. And the fact is that Commissioner Glenn did not ask for any of that shortfall. He took it out of his fund balance. He's still got a pretty healthy fund balance. I know we definitely need to watch our fund balances. We don't want these things to deplete. We don't know what next year holds, and we've got to be really careful with our spending. But he still has a really healthy fund balance, so it's not going to affect him from that standpoint. Has anybody else got any comments on this budget?
Yes, Commissioner Rubley, I have a question. Is this, he's having a budget shortfall, so if we give this additional money, does that then become maintenance of effort money for a one-year fix?
Yeah, I would defer that question to Director Cotton, but I'm assuming that yes, it would.
As far as maintenance of effort with the highway, that only applies to local funds, and it's on a
Right, and
5-year average. So if he's taking this money out of his fund balance this year, with the highway, we're only required to give so much revenue, not so much monitor the expenses that they use it on as far as maintenance of effort goes.
So then this won't affect the maintenance of effort?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Since he is not asking for more funds, he is covering it, the shortfall with his fund balance.
Gotcha.
Will not-
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Chairman Ruby,
Yes, sir.
just to, I'm on that committee, and as you notice, if you read your paper there, you know, he hired, I cannot think of that girl's name, it's in her hip, and Angela, but I can't think of her name right now, but she was hired as a part-time, and they put her full-time, and then if you'll notice, they moved a couple of truck drivers around and what have you, so that was some of the increase, but like it's been talked about, it's coming out of his fund balance. So I don't see no problem with it. I make a motion, we approve it.
Okay,
I'll
motion.
second.
Commissioner England. Second by, was that Commissioner Savage?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion? Now we have a motion and second.
Does Mr. Glenn, does he feel like he can get by this budget? I know it's trying times. You know, I'm sure he's got enough in his funds in case we had a big emergency. Does he think we could get by okay?
Yes, yes. We feel confident in our meetings. You know, we feel confident we're sitting really better than some of the other, you know, departments and what have you.
I spoke to Commissioner Glenn earlier, and I think that was the sentiment that he feels comfortable with this budget. He's done some changes there, as you'll see there. It's not across the board increases. They're actually in some of the funds. He has decreased some spending, and so it has worked out that it's not a huge increase. It is substantial, but it's not huge. And I think considering the loss of revenue and the money we save by keeping these projects in-house, I think we're going to be okay. Is there any
You
other?
can refer back. I was just
He
gonna say you
like
could
to- he does have about what we would call a 50% fund balance. So he has about enough money in his fund balance to cover 6 months without funding. Whereas the county only requires a 10% fund balance.
Mhm.
He'll be finishing this year somewhere around 50%.
Okay. Yeah, and we spoke about that earlier. He does have a healthy fund balance, so if there is a situation where there's shortfall, it's not gonna put a lot of strain on him if we have to do an amendment later on. But he felt pretty confident when I talked to him earlier that he was going to be okay with this budget. Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, if not, then call the roll, please, Tommy.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christie Rock,
Yes.
Scott Rubley,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Savage. Next, we will be moving on to the sheriff's department's budget, and I think Major Walker as well as Sheriff Myers is on the call. And we do have some increases in the budget, nothing substantial. I think $15,000 as far as the jail portion, about 12,000 as far as the sheriff's department's portion, 5,000 on the drug enforcement fund. Sexual offenders registry stays the same. Sheriff Myers or Major Walker, do you, either one of you have anything to say before we start consideration of the budget?
Can you hear me, Scott?
Yes.
The only thing is, I just like to, so everyone knows, that 15,000 is, as you know, that $50,000 for the mental health personnel was just not enough to get us where we need to be as a certified mental health expert. It just fell short, and that extra $15,000 was asked for so we can hire the appropriate employee for that. I'd rather do it right while we're doing it, and that's the honest reason why that wasn't filled last year, because it was just short of being able to hire the person we need to hire. And the only other increase that I know of would be that we asked for one more SRO, and that would fill us up as far as SROs go.
Okay, well, Sheriff Myers, I have expressed some concern about the psychiatric position and the fact that it wasn't filled last year. And my complaint was the fact that once we had gotten about 6 months through the year, that I felt like that the money was in place. If we had gone ahead and put that out to bid, that we could have funded that for at least 6 months, to finish up the year at some point in time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Justin said that has already gone out to bid. That's something that the county commission does not have the authority to remove. We could keep it at maintenance at 50,000, but we do not have that authority. I've talked to the state, and that is considered maintenance. So that's something that we cannot remove. But I was just concerned, and we had a couple of positions last year that was about $100,000 where we kind of sat on that money all year. And I understand your point that we didn't feel like that the money was there, but we did have, earlier in the year, we had a company that had expressed interest in funding half of that at $25,000. And I was just wasn't comfortable with that sitting there all year and not being used. But not saying that the sheriff's department is not doing a good job. I talked to Jason today, and I told him that I think you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Chairman Rubley,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Wiltshire. I was wanting to ask Tommy a question too, also about the help that we had out there for about 6 months with the psychiatric help. Tommy, was that person that was out there? Were they not? Did they not have the credentials? In other words, to make fill the state requirements that you were talking about earlier?
Yes, I believe that. Well, he didn't have the. I guess the. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
He did and didn't. There's certain things, and I've talked to several people about this. And my thoughts were, why hire someone that couldn't do everything that we needed done up front, and then when we get to where we need to be, I know that money just sat there, folks, but I just felt like we would have been wasting it by using that at that time. He was doing a good job while he was here, and in all honesty, we could have probably kept him here, but there was things just because of his connections. But anyone outside of him, we would need to hire someone with more qualifications. I want to continue, and as we all know, we want to help all these inmates here, and every one of you know, that mental illness is a big issue with all of our inmates, even across our state. And we want to do everything we can help them while they're here. And I want to be able to help them, with aftercare when they leave here. And,
Right.
without the qualified personnel to do that, to help them with that aftercare, that's what I'm after. I don't want it just to stop at the jail when they walk out the doors, they're forgotten about.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.
Tommy, I'll also have a question, in the jail budget, which is 54,210, 422, which is food supplies at 456,000. I know we've hired a company who's going to do that on contract, and I talked to Jason about that today. And correct me if I'm wrong, but at about a 300 inmate capacity is where we estimated that we would save about $100,000 annually on this budget. Is that correct?
Yes, this company, it appears they're going to save us some money, and a lot of headache with that issue, but it should save us some money. We were, before outsourcing this, Jason may have told you, we were spending around $1.20 per meal. And of course, the more inmates that are here, that price is going to go down with these companies. For us, the cost only went up. And I do anticipate our numbers going up, as all of us probably know they're going to. There's just it's going to happen. So it just makes very good sense all the way around to outsource the food here. As far as the savings, I can't say for sure, but that all on our numbers, in all honesty, and that's the guessing game.
Okay. Major Walker, I think I asked you this question earlier today, but now the anticipated savings, and I know you can't be, there's no way of coming up with an absolute, but the anticipated savings on that was based on about a 300 inmate population. Is that correct?
Yes, Scott. I think it was the $1.17 was at 250 and over.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments? Or I tell you what, let's go ahead and get a motion to approve before we discuss any further. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Now I'll open the floor for discussion.
Sheriff Myers, I have a question. Are you beginning to see any savings from the ESG yet?
Christy, I'm just being told that yes, we are. I know the building out here is definitely improved. We did have an issue this last week of condensation in our training room. We come in and there's water all over the floors, but I understand that was our thermostat issue that they just haven't gotten to yet. They have done something to that unit last Friday. I think they were here. They worked on it this weekend and this morning. Everything's appears to be back to normal when it comes to that. But I'm very happy with we have to be in an energy saving mode here because of just how it's operating.
Thank you.
Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like on utilities, they have spent about, let's see. I was just looking that up. Looks like about 85% of what was budgeted. Let's see, 450. Look at that, 452.
I think that's right, Scott.
85%.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure because of the reduced population that's helped some. So hopefully,
So that 85% does, we did do a budget amendment to move some money out of that line as well.
Okay. Okay, so Justin, did that money go to medical dental?
It did.
Sheriff Myers, that was one concern that we had, was the fact that we went over on medical and dental, and we still had, you budgeted the same for medical and dental this year. Is that a concern for you in the future?
Well, it was just a bad year. You know, that's an uncontrollable, and there's none of us that can control that. I still would like to consider outsourcing our medical also. There's many jails across our great state that are doing that, and they all advise that we definitely need to look into that. I think in the long run it would save us some money, and also it would help us as far as our liability goes.
That was the question I was going to ask. Is that going to relieve us from some liability? And I'm sure it will. Well, hopefully, from what I'm seeing with the food budget and anticipating that we're going to have that savings there. Hopefully, if we have one of those another year, hopefully not back to back with this medical and dental expenses as high as they are, but hopefully there's enough money in that savings that we can cover that if there happen to be a situation there. Anybody else got any discussion?
Chairman Rubley, I hate to interrupt again. I know I'm not on this committee.
Oh, go ahead.
We spoke about this in financial management the other night with Major Walker about the savings on the food. Is any of that savings reflected in this budget proposal, or is that just something they're going to wait and see what happens?
They have requested the same in the budget this year as they did last year. That line item is unchanged, which is $456,000.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm representing the 4th District right now as a commissioner, and I know I can tell you I'm not voting for a tax increase again this year, and I'm hoping that everybody can, hopefully can come within the same budget they had last year, and that's what I'm actually requesting, and some of you may have seen the email of before and after of last year's budget and this year's proposal, so that all of us commissioners can look at all the departments' budgets together and kind of see what it balances out at, because with this COVID thing going on and the uncertainty, it just, it seems like, if we're going with a company that's pretty much guaranteeing us some savings, that we ought to be able to reflect that in our budget.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And we are looking at this budget. We are relatively flat, even with some of the increases. There's not a huge amount of increase. I think there's about 15,000 in the sheriff in the jail itself, 5,000 in the drug enforcement fund, and about 12,000 in the sheriff's department itself, which is salary supplements, is where that's reflected. Tommy, could you speak on that? There's about a $12,000 increase in salary supplements.
You'd have to ask. I think Justin would be able to answer that question. I'm not sure, Scott.
Okay, Justin, could you elaborate on that?
Yes, the state pays for a salary supplement for each officer for the sheriff's department, and the amount of that supplement went up from $600 to $800. But there is the reimbursement revenue will be adjusted accordingly to reflect the same amount. So as far as the fund balance goes, it's a net zero change.
Okay, all right. Okay, is there any more discussion, any questions for the sheriff or for Major Walker? And I think, Sheriff Myers, that Justin has said that this psychiatric position has been out to bid, and I think they've received the bids on that. We don't know where we are, and that's still something for financial management to approve. Like I say, I'm not against psychiatric help. What I have had a problem with is that money sitting there in place for 12 months and it not being used. I know that mental health is a huge issue with you guys. It's probably, I'm guesstimating 75% of the inmates that you have with that have huge recidivism rates are probably mental health issues. And I know that's a problem, but then again, like I say, I told Jason today, I said, I know your responsibility is law enforcement and ours is to try to keep this budget in check as best possible and get the best results for the citizens. So not criticizing you because of it, but it's just the fact of the matter is we wish that money that's put in place could be spent. We should have thought about that a little more last year before we put that money in place, I think. That being said, has anybody else got any comments before we vote on this budget?
I'd like to add to that, Scott.
Okay.
On that position, like I've said before, the money's set there, but I'd rather it set there than just waste it. There's many reasons and that I have used to put that on hold. Also, it's not just underfunding the position. We just need a little more to get the right person because in that market. That's what I've investigated, and that's about what it's going to take, that extra 15 to get someone qualified that we need. When it comes to the jail part, I'm all about saving money and being transparent and doing everything we can for these inmates, and that's part of it. The construction that's going on at the jail, all that is, it's taken a long time. All this is just a slow process. And then COVID come around and we had to shut the doors out. We've had virtually no work done for a long time.
Right.
Because I shut the doors early. I can't afford to get that in our jail. Space is a problem. Office space is a problem. There's all kinds of, issues we've got going on. If we hired someone even then that couldn't accomplish the things that we wanted in the future. Yes, temporarily we could have done that. Mm-hmm. But once we get our jail up and running like, we want, then we're going to, we'd be short everything. And right now, until then, let's just say it's a year. This person's going to have to work with no office space, which is just about impossible. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get to where we need to be before we implement some of this stuff, just like the programs. I want to have the space, and we've got programs in line, but we can't implement them yet until we get all of our ducks in a row. And I'm just trying to be as diligent and with every penny that taxpayers' money that we have.
Right. And I know safety comes first with you, and I'm not saying all this to be critical of you guys online. I'm just saying I just voiced that because I have voiced that opinion in other meetings that I was kind of frustrated that money was sitting there. I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just explaining my position. But I think you guys are doing a good job, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
So with that, any other discussion before we vote on this budget? Okay, if not, Commissioner Savage, please call the roll.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Rubley,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, Sheriff Myers, one thing I wanted to add that I meant to before we ended this discussion was the fact that we still have, and I've talked to Justin about it, we've got 2 line items in 54-120, and it is special patrols that has not been funded for, Justin could probably tell you the last few years, but that's something we need to consider removing if it's not going to be used. And you might want to discuss that with Justin, but I just wanted to bring that up, bring that to your attention before we went on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Scott,
Yes.
Chairman, do we want to, I know that it's included with the jails packet. Do you want to do the drug fund budget now as well?
Yes. Yes. And I think that is one of the budgets that we probably need to vote on separately from this one.
Yes, because it is in a different fund.
Right. Right. And that one is 54,150, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that is the next budget that we need to consider. This budget there is a $5,000 increase, I think, and it was confidential drug enforcement payments. Tommy, if you would speak to that, I think I know what that is, but if you would just speak to that.
Yes, sir. That was just an increase in funds. We were really low on money this last year, and we have increased our drug enforcement. So we anticipate, that needing just that extra money in there. But I've also requested, I'm going to be purchasing some vehicles out of that fund also, because I know there's a lot of things that weren't considered in our last budget. We were allowed to, thankfully, to have a couple more officers. Well, there's a lot of things that wasn't added to the cost of having those officers, vehicles and so forth. And we've just been running by the skin of our teeth on vehicles this year. We just got our vehicles from this last budget in this week. So that, the production of these vehicles are running way behind. My investigators are in need of. I've got a lot of vehicles that's got 200,000 miles on them. So, to help our general fund out, I definitely need to purchase a couple of vehicles. I'm going to do that out of the drug fund, and that's a transfer that I'll need to get done pretty quick.
Right. Right. I talked to Major Walker about that today, and I think, Justin, what is the balance on the drug fund right now? Can you tell me?
With the amended budget I sent out today, even with the new additional money in motor vehicles, they're still projected to finish the 2021 year at $114,000, which would be 68% of what they're expecting to spend this year. So.
Okay, and that's with removing the two vehicles that they anticipate purchase.
Yes, because the budget you're looking at may be from the previous send out. I sent one out today that had $100,000 in motor vehicles, as well as the additional $5,000 in confidential drug enforcement payments.
And to clarify that 319, Tommy, that's to pay informants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this budget?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second? Is
Second.
there a second? Second by Commissioner Ross. Okay, is there any more discussion on this budget? And as I said, there's a $5,000 increase on this, and that is for the confidential drug enforcement payments. If there's no more discussion, I will ask Commissioner Savage to call the roll.
Randy England. Commissioner England.
Commissioner Savage, Commissioner England has dropped off. Looks like he is trying to reconnect. He just sent me a text saying that I have lost connection.
Oh.
If you'd like to call the remainder of the roll, we'll give him just a second afterwards. See if he gets back on.
Christy Ross.
Yes.
Scott Rubley.
Yes.
Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor. Cole Taylor.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries right now with 4-0.
Okay. We'll give him just a minute.
That's 4-0 pending.
Okay. Let's see. Commissioner England is still having some difficulties. Let's see. I'm in the process of giving Commissioner England the number to call in. Hopefully, we'll have him back on here shortly. Director Cotton,
Yes.
I think what we did was approve the sheriff's department with the jail included. Is that a problem, or do we need to do that separately?
No, that's not a problem.
Okay.
As long as everybody on the committee understands that that's what they voted on.
Okay. All right. Well, next we'll be moving on to the health department, and hopefully Commissioner England will be back with us shortly. Director Cotton, I don't think we have a representative online for the health department. If you would like to speak to that budget.
Sure. You may go ahead and start.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a flat budget with it. Well, it's actually, the state funded portion, which we are reimbursed for, has actually gone down. I think that they've changed some services or changed some staffing. But I mean, the budget's going, as far as their total budget, it's going to go down. The county funded portion is going to remain the same. It's going to be at purely local.
Okay, we'll give Commissioner England just another minute. Let's see. Okay.
I'm trying to get budgets and
Commissioner England says he's back on. I think, Commissioner England, can you hear me? I'm not seeing him on the list yet. Lauren may have to. Okay. Commissioner England says he's on hold pending approval. That was my fear tonight, is that I would lose connection, and so far so good. I just texted Lauren. Hopefully she can take care of that situation.
Hello.
Is that you, Commissioner England?
Oh, finally, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner England, we voted on the sheriff's department budget. I think discussion had ended, and we are waiting your vote.
I thought when you were talking about the drug fund,
Yes, and the vote was four yes so far.
yes, I vote yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, my phone is dead.
That's all right. That's all right. This is trying for everybody. We had started discussion on the health department and the county portion, county match, or the county funding for that budget has remained the same. There is actually a reduction in state funding.
Excuse me a minute.
Yes,
Excuse me a minute. Which
Go
one did you
ahead.
say? I'm sorry.
the health department.
Okay, okay.
Our
Go ahead, I'm
county,
sorry.
our county funding is still the same at 50,873, but the state funding has dropped quite a bit, but our match will be the same. Is there a motion to approve this budget?
I make motion to approve it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Any discussion on this budget?
What did you say the county?
The county's portion of this is 50,873.
54,873.
50,873. 50,873.
Okay.
All right. Any more discussion? Okay, if not, please call the roll, Commissioner Savage.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. The next budget that we will be reviewing is the general purpose school fund. And I know there have been some changes in this budget we reviewed once before, and this is this budget has been resubmitted. And if Director Swallows would like to speak on those changes, I'd be glad to let him speak now.
Thank you, Commissioner Ruble. Spoke to this at our board meeting on a week ago, Thursday night. Unfortunately, with the state of the budget in the legislative session, the governor recommended that the money that he had put in previously for teacher raises be taken out. And so at the end of the legislative session, that's what happened. We got a revised estimated BEP from the state that was right around $425,000 less than it was when we passed this budget originally. The board had passed it, you all had passed it, and unfortunately with losing that money, we felt like we needed to amend that budget for teacher raises, or to take the money for the teacher raises out. That is a painful thing because we are asking teachers probably to do more than they've done ever in these times. But with the uncertainty of the budget, uncertainty of all the things that are taking place, we felt like that was the wise thing to do at this point. If things hold true in our budget or with tax revenues, and when everything's established, we would hope to find some way to help the teachers. But at this point, we felt like in a budget, with our budget to be responsible, we needed to come back to you all with this amendment.
Okay, thank you. And I know that this is trying time. I know we had some monies that had to be shifted back to take care of some salaries, a problem that we've been having. The comptroller made some suggestions, and I know there was a $450,000 shift that had to be made as well. So this budget is taking a pretty large hit. And I know that you have not asked the county for any increase in funding. Before I open the floor for discussion, I'd like to have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Would anybody like to ask Director Swallows any questions or any comments that need to be made?
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Swallows, because I don't have the revised thing in front of me, it's a reduction that you're asking for, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. All the revision that would have taken place is simply taking that money that was put in for teacher raises out. And so I apologize, you don't have that in front of you.
That's okay. Thank you.
Director Swallows, from what I read, this is, from what I understand from the new proposed budget, this is going to, if everything goes as planned, you anticipate having a $5.344 million fund balance at the end of the year.
That's the way we read it. Of course, again, that's an estimate based on where we are right now. We were fortunate, obviously, and some of those line items that you all considered before, it was just because it was such an odd year, because at the end of the year, we didn't pay substitute teachers. We didn't have the energy costs that we had before. And again, you spoke about the issue that we've never had before, based on the fact that we have never paid from June 15th until the end of the month out of last year's budget. So the comptroller did ask us to do that. So we had to move some things around. And again, I'm hopeful that as we return, that we're able to use maybe some of those savings to help in regards to salaries. But again, we just need to be fiscally responsible and know where we're going to be before we're able to do that.
Right. And I have said as well, we don't wish that anybody do without. We'd love to give everybody $100,000 a year, but in the real world, that's just not possible. We have to do the best we can with these budgets. And I know it's hard decisions and some people are not going to be happy with it, but at the end of the day, we've still got to make the budget work. Is there any more discussion, any more questions for Director Swallows? If not, Tommy, please call the roll.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor. Cole Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
thought you were River there for a minute.
Can you hear me, Tommy?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Savage. Okay, we'll move on to the school food service budget. If Director Swallows, you'd like to speak on that?
Yes, again, hopefully you've got that in front of you. Again, we're not asking for any increase. Should be a fairly straightforward budget for this year. I do want to commend them on the outstanding work that the food service department has done to continue to feed students and children of all ages, actually, during this shutdown. And so want to make sure I say publicly what a great job they've done for Warren County over the last few months. And going forward, I'm anticipating some additional challenges as we go back to school with trying to make sure we're feeding kids. So if you've got any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I don't
Okay.
have a specific question, Mr. Swallows, but I do echo that they went above and beyond, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve this budget.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Anybody have any more questions or comment on the food service budget? Okay, if not, Commissioner Savage, please call the roll.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Right, thank you. And Director Swallows, we just like to say welcome on board, and we hope that for several years we can work and do some good things together. We're looking forward to working with you, and I think you've got a good optimistic outlook, and we appreciate you being here and wish you the best of luck.
Appreciate you guys. We're going to need us all pulling together here in the next few weeks and months to get our kids back to school. I appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you. Okay, and with that, we're going to move on to the seventh item, or eighth, I think that is, but this is the Finance Department's budget, which is 52,100. And I
All right,
think,
give me a little time to get to it.
Okay.
Flip right. Never mind. Okay, I'm ready.
all right. And with that, I'll turn this over to Director Cotton. I am sure that he is familiar with this budget.
Yes. If you'll notice, there is a $123,000 increase in my budget. That is almost completely taken up by salaries. As you know, this office was created in the way it is now 8 years ago. Unfortunately, it was not created the way the law said it should have been. All financial duties should have been transferred in. And on a suggestion from the comptroller, I've been in talks with the school board, Grant, as well as Bobby before he stepped down. And we have settled on the equivalency of 2 employees worth of salaries being transferred into my office. The county will have to pick that up. The school system cannot actually pay for the move. But there's 2 employees worth of finance functions happening at the central office for the school board. And based on the law that we operate under, those should happen in my office, or at least under the umbrella of my office. So if you have any other questions, feel free.
Director Cotton, I have a copy of your budget. That with these additions, the final balance on that, the final total expenditure is going to be what?
Let me see. The final balance on the expenditures for both the departments I run will be $761,822.
761 what?
822.
Director Cotton,
Yes.
line item number 317, data processing services, you had budgeted last year 70,000 and your total estimated expenditures is only 48.4. And you're asking
Yes.
for 75, which is 5 more than last year, and you've only spent 48 of that. Can you,
Yep. When we got the budget passed last year, there was a lot going on, and by the time I ordered my new server and the new softwares, neither one of them, none of it was installed until much later in the year. And they prorate the maintenance and data processing services based on how long it's in operation.
Okay.
One of the new softwares went live in January, and the other one went live in just after we came back from COVID, I believe. So it would have been in early April. No, it was in May. We just went live with payroll in May. So there was a little lag and delay on the getting that stuff up and running. So it wasn't running all year, so they didn't charge me the additional that went with that, the first year of operation.
you don't think you can get by with the 70 again? You feel like it's going to take 75?
Well, I mean, it depends on how much I'll have to pick up some additional hardware maintenance with 2 employees coming over. We probably can get by with 70, depending on how much I don't believe that when I wrote this budget up, I didn't adjust that line when I was expecting to move 3 employees. But after quite a bit of talking, we've settled on the 2, so we can probably reduce that back down to 70.
Okay.
Director Cotton, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, on the, I guess it's your salary, the 65,000.
Yeah, the last one I sent in was actually 63,490.
Right. Now, as my understanding, I think it was the financial management. Isn't that the one that set your salary?
It is. That was I'd put the 65 in there anticipating the county getting a raise. But once we got into the discussion, I've since put it back down to 63,490. So yeah, unless we do a countywide raise, or financial management changes their mind, it'll have to stay the same.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So do we need to amend that line item because mine says 65?
The last one I sent out today should read 63,490, and that was the one that had the that matched the dollar amount I gave a minute ago.
That would be the most recent. The one that he sent out today has those updates on it, which was, I think you, Justin, if I'm not mistaken, you put all of those in one email, correct? All of the budgets we're considering tonight.
I only got about four of those attachments, so I'm running off old paper.
Yeah, the Excel attachment has, I think, 8 different tabs, one for each budget.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justin, I don't have yours for some reason.
It would be with the health department. The Excel spreadsheet that has the health departments as the first one. Mine is the second tab. I can go by it. I'm looking at it right now. If anyone has any questions about
I see it. 52,100. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Justin,
getting this, Director Cott,
Yes.
I'm getting this for the minutes. So the 2 people that are going to be transferred to the county office and be on the county payroll.
Yes.
All right. What is the dollar figure on those 2 people?
$92,350 for their salary, and then their benefits are the same as ours. So they're the same percentage with the rest of the county employees would be.
All right.
And Director Swallows and I haven't. We're talking, and we may not actually transfer the employees. We may transfer their job duties, and if we do transfer their job duties, I'll hire somebody in line with what is currently being paid in my office, which will be less. But I feel that we need to budget accordingly in case these employees do transfer, so that we can pay them the same wages they're making now.
Okay.
Director Cotton,
Yes.
in your travel, I see you got $4,500 and keeping it the same for this year. Notice you only spent
Yes. We were
22. Do you think maybe you might do a little more travel next year than this past year?
Yes, I was supposed to send 3 to 4 employees to a conference in April. That conference didn't happen.
Okay.
I tried to send to our software company, host a conference every year, and we try to send 3 to 4 employees to that, so that we can keep somebody, getting up-to-date training on anything that's new or what to expect. But they just didn't have the conference this year due to the COVID.
Okay, so Justin, basically your budget is going to be about $123,000 increase, correct?
Yes, unless the committee wants me to reduce my data processing back down to 70,000.
Which would leave
should be able to do.
be about 118 then.
Hey, Justin,
Yes.
this is Randy. I had phone issues. You may have already covered this, and I don't mean to be backtracking, but what's the line item 599 other charges?
I had not covered that. That would be setting up my office to handle the additional staff. That would be new desks for the two employees, as well as wiring in one of the other suites here in the building to house additional folks, since I am absolutely slammed full in my current space.
So this would actually be you won't have this next year.
Correct. It'd be a one-time thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I make the motion we approve the budget with taking line item 317 down to $70,000.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Taylor to approve the budget with the exception of line item 317, which would be reduced by $5,000 to $70,000. Is there a second? I'll second that. And I know we voted early, I think in the first budget meeting when we started reviewing budgets, but, and I think it goes without saying, but just since Justin brought it up, I want to make mention that all of these budgets are approved, pending approval of salary increases, pay increases, and we're going to consider those at the end of the budget process, those that we have the option to change. Okay, is there any more discussion on this budget?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm having phone issues, and I apologize again. But if I'm backtracking out there again, I apologize. But
That's fine.
talk again about is it the 2 or 3 ladies that the jobs that were transferred? If I understood, like I say, my phone is acting up. If I understood, 2 of the ladies will remain possibly at the school system. Is that correct?
No, one of the ladies will remain as an employee of the school system.
Commissioner
Okay.
Rubin, could I speak? to
Yes. Yes, sir.
This is Grant Swallows. Appreciate the question. I just want to say that Justin and I met on Wednesday and really needed to take a hard look at the duties that are being performed, and really the three positions in question all have some duties that need to transfer to the county and some that would remain with the school system. And so Justin and our compliance manager spent some time talking about those duties and really need to continue to have that conversation. But the first step tonight is for you all to approve what the Finance Act of 81 says that we need to do. So we've got valuable employees here that we want to take care of, and I appreciate the county. I appreciate you all. Appreciate Justin working to try to make this the best it can be, because it's always hard when you transition employees. But that's the reason we felt like we needed to talk about the duties first before we talked about the employees. And so that's what we've done and what we'll continue to do.
Thank you, Mr. Swallows. And I would reiterate what he says. I told Grant this and I told Justin this. We do not want the burden of these salaries on the county. We much prefer the school system to be paying these, but at the end of the day, we looked at from a legal standpoint, this is the right thing to do. From a financial standpoint, good for the schools, bad for the county. But at the end of the day, we've got to do what legally we are bound to do. And these duties are finance department duties. And that's why we're considering this time. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve this budget. Commissioner Taylor made the motion. Did we get a second?
Yeah, you seconded it, sir.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion?
Budget, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Any more questions for Director Cotton, Director Swallows? Any more comments before we vote? And again, looks like with that, we're going to be at about $118,000 above where we were last year. And that's we're looking at about, I don't know, less than $20,000 if we exclude the salaries that are coming over. That'd be 118 minus 92,000. So we're going to be not going to be too far off after picking up these two employee salaries. Any more discussion?
Okay. Motion here was to amend line item 317, reduce it to $70,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think some commissioners may have the old copy, but line item 101 in proposed budget 2021, that line item should be 63,490, which would be the same as last year.
I do have a question for Director Cotton on the data processing services.
Yes.
Have those charges went up, or do you foresee them going up? I know a lot of those things like that.
They went up. We bought new software during this fiscal year, and as part of that, the first year you have to pay for additional training. As part of, you actually get a cheaper price to pay for the training and the software together. Whereas if you don't pay for the training, it ends up costing more anyway. But after the first full year, some of those costs will actually come down, and I should be able to reduce that number below 70,000 next year. It should fall off quite a bit.
You don't think it's a Jeopardy thing if we put it at 70,000?
I think we'll be fine at 70,000.
Okay.
Justin, I also want to make a comment on line item 709, which is data processing equipment, which is reduced by 14,000. And that is due to the contract that we have with the company, the processing company. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we bought the 709s where we bought the equipment. We bought a server last year too. I don't need another server this year.
Okay. Okay. So that's what's reduced. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Director Cotton,
Yes.
the two ladies that are coming from, or the two employees that are coming from the school system that are going to be put in the finance department, they're doing financial work already, which is supposed to be paid by the county. Could we do away with those two jobs and the people you already have working with you take care of what they've been taking care of?
No way. No.
Okay.
The reason they're still doing them is because we just have never had time to there's just not enough time in the scheduling for us to transition that work over here. Like we're slam full as far both in space and in time.
That's what I figured that. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on that budget? Okay. If not, Commissioner Savage, please call the roll.
Okay, now this is a motion to amend this budget. Now, because he made a motion and a second, this is a vote to amend the budget.
I believe he made a motion to amend and approve.
Yeah, it was a dual motion. It was a motion to approve contingent on the change in line item 317.
I'll just write amend and approve. Okay. Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Rubley,
Yes.
Tommy Savage, yes. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Savage. Next budget is other general admission, which is 51,900. And Justin, I'll let you speak to that one since I think you were the one that's taking care of that budget.
Yeah. This is where we pay for the counties, a lot of shared services for the counties, premium loan surety bonds is pretty self-explanatory. This we pay for all general fund telephones, with the exception of, I think the sheriff's maybe. And then, this is also where the new item, $11,000 is for the county website, which was previous. We had to make an amendment this year to cover it out of a different line.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
And this is other general,
Administration. Yes, 51,900. I'll make that motion to approve. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Savage. Okay, now I'll open the floor up for discussion. Anybody have any questions for Justin concerning this budget?
Justin, did you go over it? And I was busy looking for it, what other contracted services was under 399.
County website.
Thank you.
Justin, line item 332, legal notices. Have we seen a substantial increase in what noticed you've only spent $2,500 estimated, and I know it's budgeted the same. You anticipate more expenditures in that? I know that's not $2,500 is not a lot of money.
No. We have other this is just for shared stuff. Mostly, I think maybe for the county commission. This is for countywide stuff. Some of the other offices cover their own. Like my office covers all of our purchasing out of, all of our bid notices and stuff come out of purchasing. So this is pretty standard. We actually, when I set this one out originally, we've actually spent a little more. We were gonna spend about 4,000 this year,
Okay, okay.
but that's about normal, between 3,000 and 4,500 is what we normally spend.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any more questions concerning this budget? And I know if you look at last year's budget, 66,000, but if you look at the total estimated expenditures, there's not a huge difference. There's less than $9,000 difference because of that website being added. There's not a huge difference in this budget. It's less than $10,000 increase. Any more discussion? If not, Commissioner Savage, please call the roll.
Do it reverse order this time. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Randy England.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner Savage. The next budget is 53,600, which is District Attorney General and VOCA grant. Justin, I'll let you speak to that as well if you would.
This is 100% grant. All of the local portion is covered by in-kind matching. It's not a cash match. And it's actually 2 grants that are in the same organization, so they're the same. So it is actually, we get reimbursed for this amount. And it's actually going down this year. It's going down about $200.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Savage. Anyone like to speak to this motion? And it is pretty self-explanatory. This is grant funding. As Justin said, it's gone down a couple $100 this year, somewhere in that neighborhood. Any more discussion? Call the roll, please, Commissioner Savage.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage, yes. Cole Taylor. Cole Taylor. He's fell in the river again.
Yes. Hear me?
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Yes. Hello.
Motion carries. Hear you.
Okay, the next budget that we will be considering is 57,300, which is the forestry service. And that is typically what the donation, I guess you could say, goes to forestry service every year. It was 2,000 last year. It's 2,000 this year. Director Cotton, would you like to speak on that?
It's been $2,000 for the last 7 years. that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
Okay.
Which one are you on, Scott? I messed up there.
This is the Forest Service. That would be 57,300.
Okay.
And that is, that's a typical donation, which I'm assuming is just for execution of their duties. And that is $2,000 from the county. And as Justin said, I think we've been doing that for about, what you said, 7 years, Justin, is that correct?
Yeah, that I'm aware of. I mean,
Okay.
I think we've been doing it longer than that, but.
Okay.
Back as
I move we approve it.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second
Go
by
ahead.
Commissioner Ross. Is there any discussion? If not, please call the roll, Commissioner Savage.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage, votes yes. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner Savage. Next will be 53-930, which is Victim Assistance Program. And Justin, I will let you explain that one, if you would, please.
Yes. We, the courts collect a victim's assistance revenue that goes into a held reserve. And the Child Advocacy Center is the one the court's allowed to pull that down. They have asked for us to include $40,000 in next year's budget for that purpose.
And that was last year they requested 50,000. Is that correct?
Correct. The year before they had gotten 60, and then last year they requested 50. But collections, I guess because courts were closed for a little while, collections were down a little, so they didn't have enough to draw it all out. So they're asking for less because they know it'll take a little time to build back up.
Right. Okay. Okay. Do I hear a
Did you
motion?
say this?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner Savage.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask Justin, did you go back, you said that was for the Child Advocacy Center, or did I misunderstand that?
Nope. Yep. They're the ones who are allowed to pull it out. They send a request in. As long as we have the money, we turn it over.
Okay, I just want you guys to know when I vote, I don't want this vote influenced, but my wife is the president or the chairman of that organization. I don't want that to influence my vote in any way.
Director Cotton, this is completely nonprofit, correct?
Yes, and it is also held money, so we can't do anything else with it.
Right. Right. Okay. So in that, because of that, I don't think there's a conflict in voting, Commissioner England.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Anyone like to speak to this motion? Commissioner Savage, if you will call the roll.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage, yes. Cole Taylor,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner Savage. Okay, the next budget that we've got on the docket is 54-240, which is juvenile services. Justin, would you please elaborate on this budget?
Yes, this is where we pay for the detention of juveniles while they await trial. We had a pretty good year. We only had to spend $5. However, I believe it was the year before we spent $60 because we had multiple juveniles who had a long wait for trial. But this is all this money is used for, is to house juveniles at other facilities while they wait trial.
And we had a situation in Warren County. I think you're correct. I think it was 2 years ago that we had a situation where we had to house them for an extended period of time that took a considerable amount of money. So we've got to, as bad as we hate to, we've got to put some money in place here to take care of that in the event something like that would happen again.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Savage. Anyone like to speak to that motion?
Director Cotton, is there, when we have juveniles that have to wait for trial like that, do we still have to send them to Cookville or somewhere?
Cookville or Murfreesboro. We try to send them to Cookville. It's a little cheaper. Still a good facility, but it's a little cheaper than Rutherford County. We had to send them to both places the time that Chairman Rubley was talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay. That's all I wanted. Thank you.
And I know this looks, there's a huge difference in the budget and the expenditures, but the fact of the matter is that can vary greatly from year to year. So we've got to have some money in place to cover that. Is there any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Cotton, does the unused money stay in the general fund? Do we still hold on to that?
Yes, any money not spent stays in the general fund balance.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more discussion? Commissioner Savage, if you will, call the roll.
Cole Taylor.
You caught him off guard that time.
What? I'll start
Sorry
with Randy.
about that. I had to
Ready?
go turn.
Cole Taylor.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
He voted yes. I can't.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Tommy Savage votes yes. Scott Rubley.
Yes.
Christy Ross.
Yes.
Randy England.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Savage. Okay, next, we will move on to other public safety. If Director Cotton would speak to that.
Yes, last year, I forget when exactly we opted to take part, but the electronic monitoring funds for indigent inmates, we have to put up $10,000 in order to receive $10,000 from the state in order to help pay for the indigent electronic monitoring devices. It helps keep the population of the jail down, and if we don't, it's a 50-50 with us and the state.
Okay, thank you, Director Cotton. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Ross. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? Justin, to clarify, this is completely separate from the other monitoring devices with the Sheriff's Department. This is.
Yes. And this is for people who are deemed indigent and would never be able to pay for,
Okay.
or they won't even be charged for them. There's a fund that's set up statewide that we have, but this is our contribution to it in order to be able to draw from it as well.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to that motion? Call the roll, please, Commissioner Savage.
Randy England.
Yes.
Christy Ross.
Yes.
Scott Rubley.
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor. Cole Taylor. want to put him in a chair and tie him to it.
Yes,
Moving around too. Okay,
yes.
thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Hey, Tommy, I have not moved one bit. I'm sitting in the same place I was sitting in when I answered. when I started this
Down there,
call.
on the riverbank.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Savage. Okay, next budget is other public health and welfare, which is 55,900. Justin, if you would speak to that as well.
This is the money remaining on our countywide health, the health grant we got for countywide bicycle racks. This is just the remaining funds so that we can continue the process of getting those things installed and spend the grant money.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner England,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ross. Anyone else want to speak to the motion? Not, call the roll, please, Tom.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage votes yes. Cole Taylor.
Yes. Yes.
5-0, thank you. If I holler any louder, I won't even need a telephone.
Okay, well, that covers the budgets that we had on the agenda tonight. One thing I wanted, Justin, while we were all here together, Commissioner England brought this up today, and I gave you a call. Justin, do you have an idea where we're going to try to put the funding to pay a contracted services to do the educating at the jail with the 3-star toolkit that we purchased?
I just want to, we haven't, there's many places we can put it.
Okay.
One question I would ask would be, do we know who's gonna oversee this person? Will it be someone at the jail who oversees them, or will it fall under the county executive, or who's gonna be the oversight, do we know?
That decision, I don't think that decision has been made. That's something we're going to have to conclude.
I would, Mr. Chairman, I would think that he's going to have to coordinate this with Miss Jackie.
Okay.
And I don't know if that helps you, but if the committee, if everybody understands what this is, that's fine. But if they don't, I can give you a couple-minute overview what this is.
If you would, Commissioner England, so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, we got this 3-star grant. Executive Haley, he applied for it and got it, and we got a Snap-on toolbox kit that's NC3 certified to teach 6 different classes with 10 students per class. I have one here at my school.
Slow down.
I'm sorry?
Slow down, just a little bit. I'm writing.
Okay, I apologize. And we received this grant and we got it, the toolkit and all, and it's been purchased. It cost about $39,000. And by us getting the grant, we got to move forward with it. And we have a instructor. He is my assistant, or I guess substitute teacher, that is getting certified, and he will be working, teaching our inmates a trade. In other words, like how to read tape measures, how to use calipers and micrometers and things of that nature. And when these inmates take a online test, they will actually get a really nice printed out certificate that when they get out of jail, they can take this with them and show somebody that they did this while they were in jail, and that this may help them get them a job, and then that'll keep our rate of, we hope it'll keep our rate of returns down. I think this is going to be a good thing. We're going to teach it out of the trailer that's out there, the TCAT trailer. And the guy's name is Russell Beach. He lives out Morrison. and he's agreed to do it a dollar amount per hour. We don't know yet how many classes that we will do. I'm thinking we'll probably do 2 a month. I would love to see 1 a week, but if we can do 2 a month, and I had to guess at how many hours, and so I'm guessing 4 to 6 hours. And so guessing on the high side, that's how we come up with the number. And I have talked with Chairman Rubley and asked that we find $10,000 to pay this individual over the next year and to see how this program is going to work for us. Anyone got any questions on it? I'll do my best to answer it.
Commissioner England, you spoke earlier at the safety committee. I think it's important to point out that if we don't put this in place, then we have to pay back the grant. Is that correct?
I believe that's the way I understand that. I want to get my confirmation right, but once we get a grant, they want to know that we are following through with it. And so it's the same here at school. I got a grant as well for the same purpose, but they also understand that you have to have a certified individual to teach it. And normally we go to a school. I went to Elizabethton, Tennessee for a week, but with the COVID-19, they have switched to online classes. So this morning, our new high school and this gentleman, Russell Beach, have got signed up this morning. They're lined up to go, and they have their first class on Wednesday. And then they will have 2 classes a week for the next 6 weeks. And then when Mr. Beach gets certified, we're going to move all of the tools out to the jail. I am going to get him hooked up with Jackie and Major Walker and the sheriff and let them work out the details as far as when they would like for him to come and try this out. I'm excited to see the inmates go through this. I'm excited for them, and I hope that it will help them, and that's what our goal is.
Chairman Rubley?
Yes.
I would recommend if we're going to put money in place for this, that we put it in, it would make sense for us just to put that in other contracted services in the same line item where we paid for the Snap-on tools.
Okay.
That's the only funds still in that line item. We got about $1,000 left to carry over. So
Okay.
we're going to review that budget tomorrow.
Okay.
I can increase, I haven't sent out all the documentation for it yet, so I can just put an additional $10,000 in that line if that's the committee's request.
I don't have a problem with that if the committee doesn't, and we can ask for a motion for that right now, that be put in the same line item as the grant money was. Do I hear a motion to place that in the same line item as tool kit?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Ross. Is there a second? I'll second that. And with discussion, I will add that Commissioner Taylor has just sent me a message and said that he has lost connection. He may be back on. I'm showing him back on the screen right now. Commissioner Taylor, are you there?
Hey, Chairman Rubley?
Yes.
Me and Commissioner Ross was just like she said, was in our safety meeting. We met with Major Walker, and everything's about space. They're looking for space for everything out there, and we can't get programs like we want to get started, and because we're waiting on room and such as this, and I'm so proud that if we approve this, we get this going, this will be the breaking of the ice, so to say, to get a program started at the jail, and we hope for many more after this. I'm so happy for it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner England. Commissioner Taylor, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear
Okay.
me, Mr. Rubley?
I can.
I'm sorry. I fell in the river.
I'm so sorry. That is funny to me.
I'm sorry as well. I had to hit my mute button. That was humorous.
Commissioner Taylor needs to go back and check this on YouTube. so he can see what y'all are talking about.
Absolutely. He needs to review that without a doubt.
He's not.
To review, Commissioner Taylor, I don't know if you missed this, but we made a motion. We're going to have approximately $10,000 to fund a contracted service at the jail to educate with the, Randy, that's a Snap-on toolkit, correct?
I
Yes,
heard,
it's,
Okay, so you got all that.
yes, sir. I heard Commissioner England talking about it. I was just gone for about a minute and a half, or about a minute, I guess.
Okay, well, the motion was made to put the funding for the employee in the same line item that the toolkit was purchased from. And we had a motion and a second on that. We've got to find a place to put that in the budget, and we were just trying to locate a spot, and that looks like the best place to put it. So we got a motion and a
Thanks, sir.
second on that.
Could you give me the number of that line item, Mr. Chairman?
I would have to leave that up to Justin. Justin, you have that handy?
I do. It'd be 58190.
758.
No, 58190. Dash 399 would be the contracted services.
Okay, and Commissioner Taylor, Justin said he could update that budget. He's going to send it out to us tomorrow. So it should reflect that on the budget that he sends out tomorrow. Okay, is there any more discussion on that? Okay, if no more discussion, Commissioner Savage, please call the roll.
Randy England,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Rubley,
Yes.
Tommy Savage, yes. Cole Taylor.
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
carries 5-0.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for making everybody laugh. Tommy's been giving me a hard time about being in the river, and I'm sorry about that.
I
I just had to
understand.
say it.
I understand, Commissioner Taylor. Okay, does anybody have any more business that needs to be brought up tonight before this committee?
Are you going to send a email tomorrow? Tell us what order our budgets will be in.
Justin already sent him email out, I think, and we'll just go with that order. He sent a.
I'll include the order they're listed. In that vein, though.
Okay, that'll be fine.
The chairman of the airport commission had requested that we move his to the front. They're doing interviews for the new director, and he has one at, I believe he said 6 and one at 7. So he feels like he'll have some time right in between to do his.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. If the committee is okay with that, I'm fine with it as well.
I'm okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, I don't, no problem with the order as far as I'm concerned. As long as we got them all on the docket, that'd be fine. Okay, any more business tonight before we motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Savage, motion by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Taylor to adjourn. Are there any objections? All in favor, say
No,
aye.
sir, I appreciate it.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon.
That motion carried 5-0.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Savage. You're doing a fine
Oh, yeah.
job.
Bye-bye.
All right, good night.